all these nominees. Honorable Speaker, the report that I tabled this morning contains all the proceedings of the committee on appointments during the approval hearings of the 20 persons who had been nominated for appointment as cabinet secretaries of the state and ministerial portfolios in the cabinet of the government of Kenya, as forwarded by His Excellency the President and communicated by yourself, Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday 23rd and Wednesday 24th of July. And Honorable Speaker, the names are as read out. And Honorable Speaker, the report. Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me from the loud consultations. The report, Honorable Speaker, was saying details in great detail what we were able to engage each of the nominees on. The committee's report also has a retinue of all that was said in the committee based on what the nominees filled up in their handwritten questionnaire, from their educational background, their professional background, places they have worked in, their work experience, and Honorable Speaker, including their net worth. And I know, Honorable Speaker, the question of net worth is what became very popular with Kenyans and especially our friends and colleagues in the Fourth Estate.
Order, honorable members, order.
This Kamukunji here, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Deputy Speaker and your team. Sioi, take your seat. Take your seats, honorable members. Honorable members, if there is a motion that you require to pay attention to, order. The member lecturing others in the walkway. Members, one of the most important constitutional responsibilities you carry that was given to this House is that the President cannot sit in State House and nominate persons to office of minister or cabinet secretary without your approval. This is order, Kiborek. This is one of your most important responsibilities to discharge in this country, apart from dealing with appropriations and budget. I would expect, and I expect nothing less, order DK. I expect nothing less, and Osoro, you are the chief whip. You should be the last to cause disorder. I want to hear each other in silence. I want us to hear your views on the people who are going to assist the President to run this country. I want the country to hear you on what you are handing over to the President to work with. And we cannot do that by engaging in many kamkunjis all over the floor of the House. Those members, the chair cannot curtail you from consulting. I have allowed you to use the Speaker's recess room to go and consult if you wish. But let's hear the moving of this motion, the debating of this motion with order, a reasonable degree of silence in the House. The country is watching you. And if the majority leader is speaking and nobody's even hearing him, then when you stand to contribute, what are you going to do? Don't degenerate to a level where, we used to have in this House a motion as important as this is moved and a member stands up to attack his local chief instead of contributing to the motion. Majority leader, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker was at the point I was saying that the committee considered the curriculum vitae of all these nominees that stipulated where they each went to school. Honorable Speaker, on a light note, many people out there, including members of Parliament, believed that there are some of the nominees who had not attained the requisite academic qualifications. And I want to confirm to this House that indeed all the nominees from their curriculum vitae and engagement with the committee indicated that they had the requisite qualifications. and also noting, Honorable Speaker, that our laws do not stipulate any particular academic qualifications. But even those that Kenyans had a very interesting engagement on, like the Honorable Ali Hassan Joho, he was able to, in a very good manner, exhibit to the country how he was inspired by Professor Ali Mazrui to pursue education having not performed well at KCSE or at high school level. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to commend not just Professor Ali Mazrui, but the later day Mazrui in Ali Hassan Joho, who has now also become a great inspiration to many Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. It is not every other Kenyan who sits examinations at KCSE level or at O levels and qualifies to join an institution of higher learning. But right from the example we were given of Professor Ali Mazrui to the Ali Hassan Joho of today, he's exhibited to our young people that many of our own constituents, Honorable Speaker, a good proportion and a good percentage of our own constituents sit KCSE and do not qualify to join university. That does not mark the end of your life. That not qualifying to join university at Form 4 should not mark an end to your pursuit to better yourself and for academic excellence. The Honorable Ali Hassan Joho exhibited to the committee that he is now pursuing a master's degree at Harvard University in the Kennedy School of Administration, and is commendable, Honorable Speaker. And I want to commend the Honorable Ali Hassan Joho for not just being nominated, but also for exhibiting to Kenyans that he can also serve as an inspiration to younger Kenyans who should now know that you can get on a path for academic excellence, even having not performed so well at KCPE. Honorable Speaker, besides considering their CVs, the committee also invited the public to submit memoranda by way of written statements on oath or affidavits, as is stipulated in our Constitution and our laws, Honorable Speaker, in the Public Appointments Act, on the suitability of each of the nominees. Honorable Speaker, to this end, the committee received a total of 837 memoranda. And I must thank the many Kenyans who submitted this huge number of memoranda, and it tells you that indeed public participation was not superfluous, was not for the sake of it, that Kenyans in their numbers did submit written memoranda. However, Honorable Speaker, 123 of these were hand-delivered and 714 were submitted by email. Honorable Speaker, Section 6(9) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act provides that any person may, prior to the approval hearing, by written statement on oath, provide the clerk with evidence. Honorable Speaker, out of the memoranda submitted, 181 complied with Section 6, subsection 9 of the Act, while 656 were not in the form of affidavits, hence did not meet the requisite threshold as per the law. Moreover, Honorable Speaker, out of the 656, some were actually in support of the nominees and therefore inadmissible because the law expects this Section 6 subsection 9 and hence they could not lawfully be reappointed to cabinet. Honorable Speaker, to this end, the committee observed that Articles 132, Sub-Article 2, and Article 152, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya vest the power to constitute the cabinet solely on the President. The committee also observed that the nominees were not dismissed under the provisions of Article 75(2) of the Constitution and were therefore not disqualified from holding any other state office. Honorable Speaker, that point was canvassed in committee, and I know even in other fora outside the committee, this matter has been canvassed. And it was a finding of the committee, Honorable Speaker, that any of the nominees who has not been dismissed pursuant to Article 75(2) is not excluded from being reappointed after dismissal by His Excellency the President, and I think that was important to be clear. True, Honorable Speaker, the word dismissal is in line with the provisions of Article 152(2). And members, if you read that article, you will see that the article says the President may dismiss or reassign cabinet secretaries. Therefore, there is no option under the current Constitution to suspend or to ask someone to step aside. He can only dismiss you or reassign you. And when the President chose, as is stipulated under Article 132, it is prerogative to appoint and dismiss cabinet. When he chose to dismiss, in the words that are stipulated in the Constitution, he was well within his powers to do that, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, there is no legal provision that bars the President from reappointing any person who has been indicted as being unfit to hold office under Article 75 of the Constitution or any relevant law. In respect of the age, Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that the nominee, the Honorable Justin Bidan Muturi, had not been dismissed as AG, but had resigned in accordance with Section 11 of the Office of the Attorney General Act in consultation with the President to give the President an opportunity to reorganize his government as evidenced by Gazette Notice number 8440 of 12 July 2024. Honorable Speaker, the committee also conducted background checks on the nominees by seeking references from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on Ethics and Integrity, the Higher Education Loans Board, on loan repayments for those who had gone through our public and private universities and funded from the Exchequer, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations on Criminal Records on each of the nominees, the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties on holding office in political parties, because as honorable members do know, not a single nominee who is being nominated to serve in cabinet should be holding a political party office. And indeed, those that did hold political office, like the Honorable John Badi, the Honorable Ali Hassan Joho, the Honorable Ambetsa Oparanya, had evidence that they had indeed resigned from their party positions in ODM, the oldest party in our nascent democracy, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we also did get from KRA on tax compliance and the Commission of University Education on authenticity of academic certificates. And Honorable Speaker, it's important because I've seen many people doubting certain degrees, that in each of the degrees that were submitted to the committee, the Commission for University Education ascertained that those degrees and degree courses that the nominees submitted before the committee are recognized in the Republic of Kenya as degrees. Honorable Speaker, in considering the suitability of nominees for appointment, the committee paid due regard to the constitutional and statutory requirements relating to the offices in question and whether the nominees' abilities, their experience, and qualities met the needs of the said offices. Further, Honorable Speaker, the committee was guided by the constitutional and statutory requirements, such as our national values and principles of governance, the conduct of state officers, specific qualifications for appointment as cabinet secretaries, leadership and integrity prerequisites. And Honorable Speaker, it is in this light, Honorable Speaker, that we have recommended having looked at the suitability of the nominees as was assessed after scrutiny of their background, their academic credentials, as I said, their professional qualifications, their work and professional experience, their personal integrity, as well as their performance during the approval hearings, the committee observed and recommended that all the 19 nominees listed, Honorable Speaker, without having to repeat the names in the interest of time, so that I allow members adequate time to consider all these nominees and have time to debate. That, Honorable Speaker, all the 21, including the Attorney General, the former Attorney General, Justin Bidan Muturi, Stella Soy, Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, Alfred Nganga Mutua, that out of the 21 nominees, Honorable Speaker, that were submitted to the House, and I said I don't want to read all the names because they are already there on the motion, that we consider for approval the 20 and reject the approval of only one nominee, Ms. Stella Soy Langat. Honorable Speaker, in vetting and in considering the approval of these nominees, Honorable Speaker, the 20 nominees are recommended for approval to take office if approved by this House, Honorable Speaker, because all that the Appointments Committee has done is to consider and vet them for approval of the 20 nominees and to reject the nomination of Stella Soy Langat, who had been nominated for appointment to the Ministry of Gender, Culture, and Arts and Heritage. This lady, Honorable Speaker, is a career civil servant who has extensive experience in public service. However, Honorable Speaker, she did not demonstrate adequate understanding of the docket to which she had been nominated, and the committee found her unsuitable for appointment to that docket. Honorable Speaker, I want to draw reference to members on the report on page 238, Honorable Speaker, and you will see from the observations of the committee on observation number 8 on page 238, the committee did note that the nominee's experience in the public service is marked by very frequent job transitions in various roles. All the 6 different postings.
Give the majority leader 5 minutes.
I was winding up, Honorable Speaker. I was saying that the nominee's experience in the public service was marked by very frequent job transitions in various roles. All the 6 different postings that the nominee has held do not require any long-term strategic planning. As a result, she has not become grounded in any specific leadership role in the public service. And therefore, it was the feeling of the committee that if you had a nominee like this serving in a high office like that of Cabinet Secretary, she may not sit well to serve the public in a manner envisaged by our statutes and the expectations of the public. 2, Honorable Speaker, that the nominee under 9 failed to demonstrate adequate knowledge of topical administrative and technical issues touching on the Ministry of Gender, Culture and Arts and Heritage, to which she had been nominated. Honorable Speaker, those who are watching will remember a few of the unfortunate mentions of our honorable ladies without husbands, and this being a gender ministry, Honorable Speaker, it was a feeling of many people across the country that she may not sit well to address gender issues in that ministry. 2, Honorable Speaker, that the nominee is unsuitable for the position to which she was nominated, as she was unable to respond in a satisfactory manner to the queries raised during the approval hearing relating to gender, heritage, and culture. Honorable Speaker, I will also want to close, Honorable Speaker, by asking members that being nominated to this high office of a Cabinet Secretary is indeed a great honor. And Honorable Speaker, once members of the public or even members of Parliament like the Honorable Andai, Honorable Mbadi, and even the former governors who have been nominated to serve in this high office of Cabinet Secretary have been nominated, it is our solemn duty as members of the National Assembly to vet all these nominees, check their suitability to hold office. There may be a feeling, Honorable Speaker, that this or that nominee may not sit well in a certain docket. But again, in line with Article 152(2) of the Constitution, the prerogative to reassign dockets is vested on the President. And Honorable Speaker, I know there are feelings that probably this particular person, his qualifications, his experience, would sit better in another ministry than the ministry they have been nominated to. And it was our feeling, Honorable Speaker, in the Committee of Appointments, that we do leave that to the President in his own prerogative to realign and reassign dockets as time may demand, and also as he may find fit in terms of where he wants to sit his nominees and his cabinet secretaries in an endeavor to deliver to the people of Kenya. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, on behalf of the committee, allow me to thank all the nominees for offering themselves to serve the country. And in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., who once said that life's most urgent question is what you are doing for others. As leaders, Honorable Speaker, we should always be guided by what is best for the people of Kenya. The House is mandated to either approve or reject nomination for appointment based on suitability, and the outcome can be either an approval or rejection. An approval simply signifies a committee established that a person is suitable for the office to which he has been nominated. In the same lens, Honorable Speaker, a rejection. Honorable Speaker.
Order, members. Order. Kiborek.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying, in the same lens, a rejection only connotes a person's unsuitability to the office to which he or she is being nominated, and is in no way an indictment of the capability or competence of a nominee to perform other responsibilities. I say this, Honorable Speaker, with all due respect to the nominee, Ms. Stella Soy, that her rejection is not an indictment in any way of her capability or competence to perform other responsibilities. It is only her suitability to hold the position of Cabinet Secretary for Gender. And therefore, His Excellency the President has the prerogative to nominate her into any other position other than that position that she had been nominated for. And the President also has the prerogative to nominate another person from the same region, the same area, the same village.
Give him 2 minutes.
I would encourage the President to nominate another equally qualifying candidate from the same region, the same place, and as I said, with requisite experience and qualifications to serve, someone suitable to serve in that office. Honorable Speaker, with those many remarks, I now beg to move and ask all of you, honorable members, all of you, in one accord, to support this report where we all put in a lot of man hours up to late this morning, Honorable Speaker, when we adopted this report, having considered all the issues that came before the committee. And I am confident once approved, this new cabinet and those that will be vetting this Friday, and if we adopt this report as it is, when a replacement for this lady is nominated and vetted, we'll have a cabinet that, in the words of Martin Luther King, will serve the people and will look at what they can do for others, not for themselves, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move and take this opportunity to ask all of you to support this report, as I request my counterpart and my good friend, the Honorable Junet Mohammed. I don't know whether he is now the minority whip or the incoming leader of minority, the Honorable Junet Mohammed, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me opportunity. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I stand to second the motion, Mr. Speaker, with the approval of the nominees. And Mr. Speaker, also support the motion because, Mr. Speaker, this is, as you said earlier, constitutional responsibility of this House to make sure that this country has a cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker. As you are aware, Mr. Speaker, previously, before this constitution, the President used to appoint cabinet ministers as he wishes and dismiss them as he wishes, Mr. Speaker. But now, under this new constitution, there is a requirement, constitutional requirement, that any nominee that has been brought by the President must be approved by this House. And today we are here, Mr. Speaker, exercising that constitutional mandate. And that's why I want to urge my colleagues to take this matter of the approval very serious, Mr. Speaker. The confirmation of cabinet nominees, Mr. Speaker, is not just a procedural, Mr. Speaker, formality, but it's a vital process that shapes the trajectory of the governance of our country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, long time, and you are a veteran politician as you are a lawyer. Mr. Speaker, the President used to nominate anybody if he feels like. Whether you are academically qualified, whether you have the experience, doesn't matter. Even if you have never stepped in a classroom, Mr. Speaker, the President has the prerogative to appoint you as a minister. But at this point in time in this country, Mr. Speaker, you will be nominated and Parliament will look at your suitability and whether you have the capacity to perform, Mr. Speaker. So for that reason, Mr. Speaker, these nominees went through rigorous evaluation, Mr. Speaker, and looked at the experiences, Mr. Speaker. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you as the chairman of the committee, because this committee has put a lot of man-hour into this matter, Mr. Speaker, took a lot of time to scrutinize these members, Mr. Speaker. And every nominee appeared before the committee in person, and all questions have been put across to them, and a lot of them answered, Mr. Speaker, satisfactorily as per the report of the committee. But, Mr. Speaker, the question that we need to ask ourselves is that why are we in this situation at this point in time, Mr. Speaker? Why are we vetting ministers again mid-term, Mr. Speaker, when the term of the election has not ended, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, we have found ourselves in this situation because of our own making, Mr. Speaker. And one of the things that has come out in the vetting process is that the issue that has brought us to this situation was captured very well in our vetting process, Mr. Speaker. And we captured that the issue of arrogance, opulence, and show-off, Mr. Speaker. And we put those questions to the nominees, and majority of them took their time to answer that question, Mr. Speaker, and told us that they are not people of show-off.
Order, members. Order. Members on the majority side, try and minimize your levels and tones of conversation so
Mr.
that
Speaker,
we can follow the proceedings.
Mr. Speaker, members of the majority side, some of them are being disturbed by what has happened in the vetting committee, the rejection of one of the nominees, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we must have a vetting committee. And what the committee has done must be taken very serious, Mr. Speaker. The committee spent many man-hours to check on the suitability of every candidate, Mr. Speaker. And the committee is not doing any victimization. The committee is not doing any victimization. The committee did their work in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of the country, Mr. Speaker. The Parliamentary Approval Act, Mr. Speaker. If a nominee is incompetent, the committee cannot say anything other than that he is incompetent or she is incompetent, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Member for Order. Take your seat, Junet. Member for Keyo South. I'll give you an opportunity to have your say. This is not a public rally. This is the National Assembly of Kenya. The right for everybody to say what they are saying corresponds with the right for everybody to listen to those who are saying. Just listen to your colleagues, you'll also be listened to in the same decorum.
Mr. Speaker, when we say as a committee that someone is not suitable for this job, We are not imputing any improper motive on that person, Mr. Speaker. We are just saying that person is not suitable for this job. He can do another job elsewhere, Mr. Speaker. And, Mr. Speaker, we are not here in this National Assembly to defend and protect anyone. We are just here to say the truth as it is, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the committee found majority of the nominees to be suitable for the job they have been given. Mr. Speaker, it is this House that can hold people accountable. We cannot hold members accountable outside this House, Mr. Speaker. It is our constitutional mandate to hold people accountable here, Mr. Speaker. What is the point of sending someone to a job and after a year and 2 years again, you have to recruit again afresh, Mr. Speaker, like what is happening now, Mr. Speaker? We must take our job very serious this time because the ministers that we vetted at the beginning of this term were assumed that they are going to finish their term up to the election, Mr. Speaker, but they couldn't do. Out of 22 cabinet ministers who are in office, almost over 10 of them are not in office as we speak today, Mr. Speaker. 10 of them are at home.
Give him another 5 minutes.
More than half of the cabinet that was vetted by this House, Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of the term are at home. They have all been dropped because of reasons, incompetency, and other issues. So, Mr. Speaker, it is the prerogative of this House to decide who is going to be approved and who is not going to be approved. But we must take the report of the committee very serious because the committee did public participation. They interviewed the nominees, they listened to them, they looked at their CVs, they looked at their compliance documents, they looked at their physical appearance, they looked at their mental everything, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge this House, let us not belittle the report of the committee. The committee report is as important as what we are going to decide here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other issue I want to say is that we looked very much on the issue of integrity and accountability, Mr. Speaker. There were allegations that have been raised by certain members. There were issues that were raised against, for example, a nominee, Honorable Oparanya, Mr. Speaker. Issues of corruption, and we clarified, we said that the EACC has written, and the Director of Public Prosecution wrote to Parliament and said that there are no charges against that nominee, Mr. Speaker. And based on that, we made a decision. And himself, he appeared there and said, if there is any iota of evidence on him, on allegations of corruption, he is willing to resign, even if he's appointed, Mr. Speaker. Issues of drugs were raised about Hassan Ali Joe. The Minister for Interior, by then George Saitoti, came here and brought a report against him. Later, a report was brought to Parliament a week later that cleared him, Mr. Speaker. We looked into all those issues, Mr. Speaker, and we cleared all those people. Issues of opulence, sideshow, what's called, arrogance, and show-off were leveled against Honorable Murkomen. We looked at him, he came with a tie and a suit that did not look very expensive for that day. He should not put on another one going forward. He should continue with the same ones that he came to the committee, Mr. Speaker. And it was clear on those points, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we looked at the issues of commitment to public service, Mr. Speaker. Most of the nominees showed high level of commitment to public duty, Mr. Speaker. You could see the way they were answering the questions, and they said that they are willing and ready to serve the country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say this. There is nothing that stops this House to impeach any CS who does not perform his functions again. That responsibility again is with us here, Mr. Speaker. And the day a CS nominee does not perform his functions in accordance with the Constitution and in accordance with the wishes of Kenyans, we have the responsibility again to remove him from office and to impeach him. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the nominees that once you assume office, Mr. Speaker, kindly have in mind what Kenyans expect of you, Mr. Speaker. We interviewed the nominee for Interior, Mr. Speaker, and we told him there are many complaints about deaths in this country when people are demonstrating. He has to make sure, he has to put into consideration the sanctity of life, Mr. Speaker, that Kenyans must not die for exercising their freedoms and rights, Mr. Speaker. Demonstration is allowed in the country, but also the rights of other Kenyans must be respected when somebody is doing a demonstration, Mr. Speaker. So we have looked at everything and everything that is possible, and we have concluded that 19 nominees are suitable for office. Mr. Speaker, what I am proud of today, Mr. Speaker, are my colleagues whom I was with them in the same party who have joined now the executive, Mr. Speaker. It has proved to me that the Raila Odinga Academy, School of Politics, is the best school of politics in this country, Mr. Speaker. Look at the kind of nominees they have donated to the executive, Mr. Speaker. Hassan Ali Joho, Oparanya, Upio Wandai, and Mbadi, Mr. Speaker. Those are the best nominees this country can have, Mr. Speaker. The best experts this country can have, Mr. Speaker. When they appeared before the committee, Mr. Speaker, the committee was perplexed. They said, we didn't know ODM have this kind of expertise, Mr. Speaker. We thought ODM is just hecklers and people who throw stones, people who make noise in this town, Mr. Speaker. But now we have proved to Kenyans and to the public and to this House that the best expertise is found in ODM, Mr. Speaker. Those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I second, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable members. Order. Take your seat. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Committee on Appointments and its second report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment to the offices of Cabinet Secretaries, laid on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 7th August 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 152(2) of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House, 1, approves the appointment of the following persons as Cabinet Secretaries. Honorable Professor Kithure Kindiki, EGH, Ministry of Interior and National Administration. We are not calling a vote. I'm proposing a question. Dr. Deborah Mulongo Barasa, Minister of Health. Honorable Alice Wahome, EGH, Minister of Trade, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. Mr. Julius Migos Ogamba, EBS, Minister of Education. Honorable Rosalinda Soipan Tuya, EGH, Minister of Defense. Dr. Andrew Mwihia Karanja, Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development. Honorable Aden Bare Duale, EGH, Minister of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Mr. Eric Murithi Muga, Minister of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Mr. Davis Chirchir, EGH, Minister of Roads and Transport. Dr. Margaret Nyambura Ndungu, Minister of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy. Honorable John Bandi Ngongo, EGH, the National Treasury and Economic Planning. Honorable Salim Mvuria Mugala, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Ms. Rebecca Miano, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Tourism and Wildlife. Honorable James Opio Wandai, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Energy and Petroleum. Honorable Onesimus Kipchumba Murkomen, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports. Honorable Ali Hassan Ali Joho, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. Honorable Dr. Alfred Nganga Mutua, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Labor and Social Protection. Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSME Development. Honorable Justin Bedan Njoka Muturi, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Public Service and Human Capital Development. And Roman 2 rejects the appointment of Ms. Stella Soy Langat as the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. Washira Karani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
It's called to speak. You have all agreed to talk for 3 minutes.
Correct.
So compose your thoughts and deliver your point in 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to support the report by the committee on the nominations of various persons to the cabinet. I am particularly impressed, Mr. Speaker, by the first candidate, the nominee for internal security. I want to declare here in this parliament, I come from Laikipia, where in the past we have been having a lot of incidents of insecurity. Our people have been living in hell. But since that person was appointed cabinet secretary in 2022, he has calmed the area. In my area, Mr. Speaker, people used to be killed, animals stolen, women raped, others maimed, but things have changed. I'm sure even the members who come from North Rift will agree with me that things have changed in our region. This is one cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker, who speaks very little, but does a lot. In the past, a previous government, we had in a similar position somebody who was very, very boastful. He would talk a lot, he would shout, but eventually he was doing very little. Today things have changed. I remember some time back, Mr. Speaker, the previous cabinet secretary in the previous government came to my place. People had been killed, and he talked very, very, very tough. He said he will bring us commandos who will be working with us there, and such incidents will never be repeated. But the same night, Mr. Speaker, when the cabinet secretary took his plane and went back to Nairobi, bandits descended on our area. They killed 7 people. They carried a lot of livestock. Today, things are different. I therefore support Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Wilberforce Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand here to support the report of the Committee on Appointments. Honorable Speaker, while I have many reservations on some of the nominees that were proposed in this report, but since the committee mandated by this Parliament and the Constitution of Kenya has done its job, it will be utterly unfair to contradict what they have done. Honorable Speaker, of course there are members who have been proposed with dubious academic papers, light academic qualifications, but that's what the appointing authority wanted. And I want to quote what Honorable John Mbadi said here when we were vetting the first cabinet, that since he wanted a skunk, let's give him the skunk, and I hope he'll not have to come back again seeking another line of support. Honorable Speaker, on the rejected committee members, having read through the report, Honorable Speaker, from paragraph 1065 all the way to the end, Honorable Speaker, nobody has got any issues about the qualification of the nominee. But looking at the answers given in respect of very pertinent issues concerning gender, Honorable Speaker, I concur with the committee that she's not qualified for this particular assignment, and it will be probably prudent for the appointing authority to consider other assignments. And I would actually suggest, Honorable Speaker, since she has extensive knowledge in public administration, probably it would be prudent for the President to swap her with Bedan Muturi, so that he can go and handle that particular aspect, and so that Bedan Muturi can actually come to gender. Because, Honorable Speaker, there is a very growing misconception, Honorable Speaker, that gender is about women. Gender is about both men and men and women. Gender is about boys and girls. Why is it all the time, Honorable Speaker, when they appoint a gender CS, they only look for a woman? So that's why we continue to marginalize the boy child, we continue to frustrate the men, and that's why you see there's mental health issues in this country. It's time, Honorable Speaker, if we talk about gender, let's be gender sensitive, let's not be gender discriminative. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, we are vetting these cabinet secretaries to go and serve the people of Kenya as provided in the Constitution. Yes, they serve at the pleasure of the president, but they must know they are serving the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya are represented by this president who are here. We hope they will not go to the office and block members of parliament from accessing to present issues affecting the people of Kenya. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support the report.
William Kamket.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the report of the committee. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that the President took the opportunity to reorganize his cabinet mid-term, and that the opportunity that was presented to the President is an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, that was caused by some riots in this country. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that His Excellency the President is a lucky man. Because, Mr. Speaker, if the happenings that happened in this country did not happen the way they happened, Mr. Speaker, perhaps His Excellency would have limped with the same group towards a very dangerous road ahead as we move towards the next election. So I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that the appointments of the members of cabinet, that includes the members of the opposition, is something that has given this country a fresh impetus and a fresh start. And the President has demonstrated that indeed he listens, Mr. Speaker, and that, Mr. Speaker, that he has a big heart, that even in victory, Mr. Speaker, he has been magnanimous and has offered an olive branch to the members of the opposition to come and serve together with him in the same cabinet. And that demonstrates one thing, Mr. Speaker, that we are all Kenyans. At the end of the day, even if we agree or disagree on anything or on any matter, we are all Kenyans. And that there is only one country that we all belong to. This is the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to echo what the Honorable Member for Laikipia West said. Mr. Speaker, I want to single out the Minister, the nominee for Interior. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that gentleman has done a good job in the North Rift. Where I come from, whatever measures he has put in place, I am happy, Mr. Speaker, that he has been given a second chance to come and finish the job he began. Mr. Speaker, sir, with those few remarks, I beg to support, Mr. Speaker.
Beatrice Elachi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the report with also a very heavy heart, Mr. Speaker, that it is always women who come are vetted and will always find themselves in the situation Zoe is finding herself. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, I think it is important to understand that we are coming from a very delicate situation. I want to appreciate all the nominees, and I just want to tell them this. You come at a time when Kenyans felt those who have gone home became very proud, never understood who was at the gate, never understood whether they have challenges. They are human beings. Learn to appreciate your team, starting from even your T-girl, that you are able even just to ask, how is she or how is he? And Mr. Speaker, those are the few things, just small values that Kenyans feel, even us, that when you get a title, you get entitled and you think you have now become beyond the president. They should remember we have a president. They have gone to support the president. He has not appointed you to become another president in your ministry. He has appointed you to come and serve now his Kenyans. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, even as we say we have 3 minutes in this report, one thing I'll say, we have to change the Appointments Act and put in very serious questions that we need to ask this country. That when you come and say my wealth is this amount, it is always good to expound so that Kenyans don't start thinking, oh, you are doing tenders with government, or that is why you have made your money, or this. No, just expound and explain. But we cannot right now blame the nominees. We can only blame our act the way it is. And so it's important to really amend. We will want to know whether in the neighborhood that you stay, are you a member of the association within your neighborhood? How do you relate with your neighbors? Because you are coming to handle people. And that is the other thing Kenyans were really crying. So I support it, and I say it is time that they know it is time to work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Rindikiri.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I realize to associate myself with the report of the committee, and I say from the outlet, we need to support this report. Mr. Speaker, I have standard part of the report, and I've picked two reports I was very keen on, and one of them is the CS nominee for water, sanitation, and irrigation. Mr. Speaker, when we all watched Mr. Eric articulate the issues of water, I came to a conclusion that this is a nominee who is ready to study. It's a nominee who is ready, demonstrating the potential to learn more and to lead the ministry. Mr. Speaker, let this nominee be a good example to other young people who are professionals, who are ready to steer. He is not a pollutant candidate. I support that nomination. Mr. Speaker, I really truly identify myself with Professor Kindeki. Mr. Speaker, this is the CS who has put his life in danger. He has visited all the dangerous zones of this country. We know there are zones where the banditry, Al-Shabaab, etc., etc. Mr. Speaker, if one has demonstrated taking a risk, being in the combat front, Mr. Speaker, that is a very nice nomination. Mr. Speaker, he is a person who is available. When you call him, he turns your calls. Mr. Speaker, he writes back and he says he is going to refer back. Mr. Speaker, this is one cabinet secretary who has welcomed members of parliament and the public in his office. I remember, Mr. Speaker, when the cattle wrestling became very intensive in Meru, he came to hold Balasas himself. He is one person, Mr. Speaker, who keeps his promises. Mr. Speaker, as we nominate, we want to enhance the position of this CS. Mr. Speaker, we need as a house to address the operation of the security system. The Inspector General of Police is a center of weakness. Mr. Speaker, we have to address that because many people see the weaknesses of Kindeki because of the weakness of the Inspector General. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support.
Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na mimi niweze kuchangia mada ya leo ya mawaziri ambao wameweza kuteuliwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza natoa support yangu kubwa na kuweza kuwapongeza kamati ambayo iliwafanyia vetting. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi leo nina furaha kubwa kuweza kusema kuwa tumepata waziri ambaye atatusaidia sana katika mining na blue economy. Mheshimiwa Spika.
Chonga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know the Parliament also gives us an opportunity to learn more about language. Is it in order for the member to use both Kiswahili and English? Because nataka kupongeza ile vetting. I think vetting is in English. Tungetaka kujua kwa Kiswahili. In Kiswahili, what is vetting, Mr. Speaker? So that we can learn more of what she has. Thank you, Speaker.
Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, zote lugha mbili zinakubalika katika taifa. Na Mheshimiwa Kenchonga, wakati tuna mada muhimu kama hii, sisi tumepata kiongozi jasiri sana. Wakati mwingine usinizuilie dadako kuzungumza na nitoa mastimu. Mheshimiwa Spika, napenda kusema kuwa Mheshimiwa
Mr. Speaker, I know my sister is a first timer. But what we know that, just a moment, what I know, you either express yourself in English or express yourself in Kiswahili, but you cannot mix the two, Mr. Speaker. And if that is the trajectory that is going to be, kindly, Mr. Speaker, give a ruling to the same.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Order, Owen Bayer. Take your seats. Honorable Chonga, linguistic development is not limited. You can, when you contribute here, if you start in English, you must finish in English. If you start in Swahili, you can finish in Swahili. You must finish in Swahili. But in between, that's not what he's saying. Picking a word, vetting, and inserting it in a Kiswahili prose does not deviate from the norm of starting with one language and veering on. For the simple reason that we even have words like safari in English. It's a Swahili word. And you can be talking in English, say safari, and somebody stands up like Chonga and says you have gone into Kiswahili. So Mama Zamzam is perfectly in order. You never can tell in another 10 years, vetting might find itself in the kamusi ya Kiswahili.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na naomba dakika zangu 3. Mheshimiwa Spika, niweze kwanza kuchukua fursa hii kumpongeza Rais wa taifa hili Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto kuweza kutuchukulia ndugu yetu wa Pwani Hassan Ali Joho kama waziri wa madini na uchumi samawati. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii ni wizara ambayo imeshika sana sehemu kubwa na uchumi mkubwa wa taifa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na mimi naamini kuwa huo weledi wake wa uongozi, vile tunavyomjua, ataweza kuhakikisha kuwa madini yanaleta faida kubwa sana katika taifa, na kuhakikisha kuwa wale watu wanaokaa sehemu ambayo tunatoa haya madini wanaweza kupata haki yao, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna wakati katika taifa hili Mheshimiwa Hassan Ali Joho alikuwa kisimangwa, na mimi nataka nimpongeze kiongozi wa wengi kusema kuwa watoto wengi wako darasani, Mheshimiwa Spika, na wengi kwa sababu ya ukosefu wa karo na mambo mengi ambayo yanawatoa darasani, Mheshimiwa Spika, wengi hawakuweza kufanya vizuri katika masomo. Lakini hiyo haikuwa mwisho, na nimpongeze ndugu yangu Hassan Ali Joho, aliweza kuigeuza akaweza kujisomesha mwenyewe, na sasa anafanya masters, Mheshimiwa Spika, na na uhakika kuwa ataweza kufanya kazi kwa uweledi na kuongoza taifa la Kenya liweze kwenda mbele, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi namuombea Mungu aweze kumtangulia mbele, na najua na nguvu na uwezo wa kuweza kufanya wizara ya madini na uchumi samawati uweze kuinuka, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, niongelee pia huyu dada yetu Mheshimiwa Stella ambaye ameweza kuwekwa kando, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hii ni wizara ya kina mama, na wizara ya kina mama inataka kiongozi ambaye ama waziri ambaye anatuelewa zaidi kwa nini kwanza tulipata wizara hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa dhahiri kuwa dada yangu Stella hakuweza kuelewa hii docket ilikuwa inazungumzia nini, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na ndio maana tunasema, najua ilikuwa inatolewa katika region tofauti, hata wale ambao wametoka kule waweza wakatuletea mama mwingine ambaye amepigwa msasa vizuri, anaweza kuhudumu katika hii wizara bila kuleta sintofahamu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo hii list nyingine yote mimi na support, Mheshimiwa Spika, na napenda kusema Hassan Joho, chapa kazi, tuko nyuma yako. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable McClap.
Mr. Speaker, first I rise to support the report of this committee. The question, Mr. Speaker, that we ask ourselves, did we see the vetting committee doing their job? Did they spend time looking and examining the suitability of these nominees? The answer is yes. I don't think in my own sense that the time you spend on Sunday when you are supposed to go to church was in vain. But it was a time to scrutinize people who will serve Kenya regardless of where they come from and their color and their religion. That is what you did on Sunday. Mr. Speaker, when nominees are vetted and brought to this House to be approved or disapproved, Mr. Speaker, once they get favor of this House and be appointed, Mr. Speaker, regardless of where they come from, they will serve all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, regardless of their communities. I expected the CS for Treasury, one honorable party, to serve the people of Kenya, including Baringo, where we did not have any minister, Mr. Speaker. We expect the Minister Joe to serve all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. So ministers that shall get the favor of this House, Mr. Speaker, shall diligently serve the President, the appointing authority, and the people of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. That is underlined, Mr. Speaker. They are not supposed to serve their party leaders, but serve the presidency and the appointing authority and the people of Kenya. That is supposed to be underlined, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, is that ministers that showed performance were rewarded. I come from a county that has been ravaged by banditry, and one Professor Kindiki is a professor of law, but he has excelled in security, Mr. Speaker. Today, the people of Baringo are able to sleep because of how much time Professor Kindiki spent in the bush. In fact, most of the time, you find Kindiki across Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I also call upon the ministers, if they are in favor, Mr. Speaker, of this House, that they need to understand their technocrats who work in the ministries, not to overrun them, not to assume the members of parliament whom we spend a lot of time approving them here and later on try to disobey what we present to them, Mr. Speaker. We are the people's representative. We represent the interest of the people. Any member of parliament that will go to any office of the cabinet secretary, it is no longer business as usual, as you used to do. It is now business to serve the people of Kenya in a manner that will please Kenya and bring prosperity to this nation. This nation was thriving, Mr. Speaker, but an opportunity has come to correct all the wrong things, including opulence, so that Kenyans will get people who serve them. Mr. Speaker, finally, Mr. Speaker, the government is big. The single
Give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker,
1 minute.
government is big. I asked the appointing authority, find favor, because this lady did not during the vetting did not communicate properly, and suitability was not correct. But the appointing authority find favor to place this lady in any place in government, Mr. Speaker, so that the people where they come from, where they have seen hope, will have hope and continue. And finally ask the appointing authority, find favor and appoint someone from Baringo, a lady, so that this country can move forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Adan Kainan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is a representative democracy where the current constitution vests or confers powers to each of the three arms of government. Mr. Speaker, the reason why under the current constitution, pursuant to Article 152, the president nominates, Parliament vets and approves through the participation of the public. Mr. Speaker, what the committee has done is to put into context the constitutional role of each of the three arms of government. Mr. Speaker, having said this, we need to reflect on what has happened to the cabinet that has been dissolved. Mr. Speaker, some of the things that I have noted, and I know you have been around and I've been around, some of the things that I have noted is when you are appointed to a public office, civility is not a sign of cowardice. One of the things that was missing in the just dissolved government was that civility, humility, and humbleness. What I want to ask, to the extent that I saw one of the lady ministers, former, always task her bodyguard to carry her bag. I want to ask and plead with my good sisters, in the African culture, that is an abomination. It's an abomination and should not be allowed. It's actually an abuse of office. Mr. Speaker, having said that, if you see the members here, Mr. Speaker, Article 1 of the Constitution, vests powers.
Lillian Kogo, what's the problem?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I want to bring it to the attention of my senior that when somebody holds a bag for a woman, it has nothing to do with culture. And we are not going to attack the person of women at their place of work. Men, Honorable Speaker, men don't carry bags, women carry bags. And it could have just been in a state of emergency. So as we discuss the approval of this particular honorable Kenyans, let us leave women alone.
Honorable Lillian Kogo, that is hypersensitivity, honestly. Because Honorable Kainan did not say men are given bags by women to hold. He said women giving men bags to carry for them because they are their security, and he thinks that is not right. That's his opinion. Go on. And I don't see that as an assault on women.
Thank you. I really respect my good sir. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I say this is because we are Africans. And each one of us, the ladies must be respected, the men must also be respected. The role of a bodyguard is clearly defined in their job description. It's not to carry the bag of anybody, but to take care of the security of that particular individual. Mr. Speaker, I say this. The reason why we have this, and I want to urge those nominees who are likely to approve in the next few, please humble yourselves. This House should not be a conveyor belt for CSs. When we vet them and approve them, we should hold them to the highest standards of accountability. That is the only way the role of this August House will be respected. It's not just a matter of approval, Mr. Speaker. The group who are there, some of them, Mr. Speaker, it was difficult to fix an appointment. It was difficult to get them on telephone. It was difficult to see them. They're like in another world. Once the group who will be approved today, please desist. Otherwise, we'll invoke the provisions of the law to bring you down just the way we approve you today. Mr. Speaker, having said that, the reason why we have this is because we failed in our constitutional pursuit. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask these members, as we reflect on the dynamics, the changing dynamics, can we think of the Bomas draft? And do you know the provisions? Why did we lose that sanity? What happened? Why did we throw away the role of the member of parliament? I want you to think as we do this, because Kenya is a very dynamic country. Can we think of bringing back the Bomas draft so that the role of the member of parliament, as clearly enshrined in Article 1, is manifested in the management of our nation day-to-day activities? Otherwise, as we are floating. The Speaker, finally, as I conclude this, we have a country. Once you have been appointed, and I want to proudly say, when the young Hassan Joho was elected in 2007, he was my vice chair in the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations. And I can tell you, regardless of anything that has been said, Hassan Joho remained a resilient, a highly focused, and a well-placed individual in anything that he touched. Even during when he was my vice chair, that is one thing that he clearly demonstrated. But once you are appointed, you are no longer a cost to Kingsby in Madam Zamzam. He remains the property of the 50 million Kenyans. And I think now he should move from the coastal politics and contribute to the national well-being of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, for those who have said that the group who have been appointed are products of particular school of thought, I agree. Each one of us remains persuaded by particular group in particular political thought. Mr. Speaker, that's notwithstanding. Once you have been nominated, once you have been approved, you remain the property of the Republic of Kenya, and wherever you are, whichever ministry, serve the interests of the people of Kenya. And I support the list. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Nyakundi. Nyakundi. You log in and then you leave. Member for Turkana, is it sent? Member for Nicholas, that's Nicholas Gigor, member for Turkana East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to add my voice in support of this list and the report of the committee which you shared yourself. Mr. Speaker, I've gone through the list, the reports, and what I'm seeing from the report is that all the nominees which the the committee, they have passed on and brought the report this house. There are Kenyans who, according to the report, will be ready to serve in their respective ministries they have been nominated to head. Mr. Speaker, I will just particularly want to go to specific nominees of different ministries, starting the nominee for Ministry for Interior. Mr. Speaker, I would like to echo the report from by the committee on this particular nominee, that this man, after being given this position in the first place, and me coming from the region, which is termed as the bandit zone, that is the North Rift. Mr. Speaker, Professor Kindiki has done a great job in the North Rift. And since the time he was given that position in the last appointment, Mr. Kindiki has done a good job in the North Rift. And given this time also to continue in the same docket, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Kindiki is going to give the people of the North Rift what they have been looking for all these years when it comes to matters of security. Mr. Speaker, when we talk again, when we look at the list again, this lady, which it has been given the docket of the Minister for Defense. Mr. Speaker, why this lady, she has been in the first place and coming from the pastoral community. You know, we pastoralists, we do our job without being even, we don't look for supervision. And I believe this lady, she is going to do a good job in this docket and is going to show the community, the communities and the countries that she is the right person for that position. And also the Minister for Environment, Mr. Adan Duale. I think now he's in the...
Member for Moyale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. First, I want to congratulate the President of the Republic of Kenya for making a wise decision to get people from across the country into his cabinet. Mr. Speaker, imagine a Turkana woman will sit in the cabinet of Kenya. That one, Mr. Speaker, for a long time, the Ministry of Health has been suffering from non-medics at the helm. Today, we have a qualified, competent physician who is going to head the Ministry of Health. And that person is even a female for that matter. That is the biggest achievement for the Republic of Kenya and for the medical fraternity, that a medical doctor for a long time is going to sit in the cabinet and advance the decisions for the country. In the border, Mr. Speaker, I see an opportunity both for the profession to influence leadership. As a doctor, she's technically sound and willing to learn and work with the team, very highly competent medical team that will advance the healthcare system in the country to a higher level. I think through her, I see an opportunity that we shall be able to achieve the universal health coverage. For the other ministers, there are ministers who have been away from their offices. They have been operating from private offices. They do not answer people's phone calls. And I think it's an opportunity for them to rethink about what they are doing and change their standard. But for the president, I repeat, the president has actually destroyed the opposition. He has brought the country into one table where we shall all work together as a team. And with those, I support the committee report. For the lady who was rejected, as a gynecologist, I have a sympathy that I wish she's not rejected. As a woman, as a doctor who looks after the health, welfare of women, that woman is highly qualified. She is Director of Administration in Office Interior. Why should she not be able to perform well at the interview? So I know the president knows when he picked her, and I hope she'll be chosen.
Member for Malava.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also arise to support this report and thank the President for what he has done for this country. In my opinion, these persons who have been nominated actually are competent enough to serve the country. And I would like to urge these particular persons that they should serve the country and particularly help the President. You know, some of the CSS who have been dropped, Mr. Speaker, they could not articulate government policies, government programs, and I would urge these ones, because they are competent enough to ensure that they've done this to assist the President. Mr. Speaker, I want also to specifically appreciate the President for nominating 2 more persons from Western Kenya to serve in his cabinet. This is Oparanya and Mulongo. And we appreciate so much because now we have 3 of them in the cabinet, in addition to the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and we support the President. We appreciate the President. It's only that I may also wish to ask Oparanya. He has been outstanding in his performance. When he was Minister for Planning, he did so well. When he was Governor, he was ranked topmost. When he was a Member of Parliament, his CDF was ranked the best in the country. I would urge him, because when it comes to formation of cooperatives in Western Kenya, they are weak. Those cooperatives are not so many in Western Kenya. The people in Western Kenya do not really embrace cooperatives. I would urge him, as he serves the entire country, he also focuses so much on Western Kenya to ensure that he has sensitized the people on the importance of cooperatives. He has sensitized the people on the value of the Hustler Fund, which many other communities have embraced and really benefiting from it. I want also to urge that the new CSS who have been nominated, they actually consult a lot from the CSS who have been reappointed in the cabinet, because those CSS who are doing so well, and I believe if this can consult them, quite a lot will happen with in the country. Mr. Speaker, some of the CSS who have been dropped were so arrogant, and I would urge the present one now, they become down to earth in terms of their service, and they should know their ministries quite well, so that even when they appear before departmental committees, they know what they're talking about, they know what they are presenting before the committee in terms of their ministries. Otherwise, I support this report. Thank you.
Opondo Kaluma.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, before the nomination of the last batch of the nominees herein, I spoke here very passionately about the need for the appointing authority to always comply with the provisions of Article 232 of the Constitution, in particular sub-Article 1, G, H, and I. Honorable Speaker, when I spoke so, I did not know who the President had under consideration. But I was speaking because when you come from Homa Bay across Migori to Nyamira and Kisii, we had only 1 CS in Machogu formally. And we had only 1 PS in Raymond Omolo for Interior and National Security, for whom we had thanked the President. Honorable Speaker, allow me therefore to start by thanking His Excellency the President for not just ensuring ethnic and regional balance, but for remembering minorities living within Luo Nyanza. Honorable Speaker, it is the first time a person from Luo Nyanza region, not necessarily a Luo, has been nominated to be appointed, if this House approves, as the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury. Honorable Speaker, it is also the first time we are having that ministry and also a person in charge of the energy docket, if approved, from that same region.
Yeah, order. Yes, Carol Omondi. Service time.
To profile the Sudanese people as not necessarily Luos.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Karoli is a Suba, and Subas are minorities living within Luo Nyanza. They are not Luos. That is the fact of the matter. And so let me make that very clear. But I'm thanking the President because that appointment is within Luo region. Honorable Speaker, that in addition to the other nominations and of people whose integrity, whose competences we have tested in this House, make me very pleased. I also want to thank the President for nominating the former governor for Kakamega County, which was the best in terms of performance of counties, the Honorable Wycliffe Oparanya and Governor Joe. Honorable Speaker, let me end by thanking, as I thank the President, for appointing the Honorable Murkomen to the Ministry of Sports. You know, we forget Kenyans, but this was our best striker in Bunge Football Club, position 9. And I'm not worried at all that he's going to do very well. Honorable Speaker, having said that, let me make a comment on one thing that is very important. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Appointments is the most powerful committee of this House. It is a committee chaired by none other than the Speaker of the National Assembly, who is the third in ranking in government. Honorable Speaker, when you look at this list, there are people who have been politicians as MPs, as governors, or have been ministers before having undergone vetting, except only 3. Honorable Speaker, you may therefore forgive those who never appeared to be well composed before the committee. Honorable Speaker, you know Dr. Barasa is my family doctor. I saw her look at you and she was very shaken before the members initially for the first 30 minutes. But you saw how she got composure as the vetting went on. Honorable Speaker, this lady called Stella Soilangat. This lady served as a divisional officer, assistant county commissioner in my area. This lady served as an assistant commissioner, county commissioner in my area. Let us forgive if she appears before you, the Honorable Speaker, with these serious members, Honorable Ichungu Abrejunet. Let us not judge her on failure to define one word called femicide and those others. This lady will deliver. And therefore, I support this Honorable Speaker, but I'm praying for a rejection or a disapproval of this part and its amendment so that this lady may also be included. Honorable Speaker, in the first Parliament, we rejected Phyllis Kandie, and she performed very well, Malonza. Now it is this lady. What is our issue with the ladies that every vetting, at least some woman must be rejected? Honorable Speaker, I pray this amendment be made. Otherwise, I'm grateful.
DK.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to set the record straight that I support the report of the Committee on Appointment with reservations on the rejection of Stella Langat. As we have heard, the lady has been a director at the Interior State Department. And the fact that maybe during that day, she didn't wake up properly so that she can be able to answer the questions does not necessitate us negating, because I also followed her very closely, and I can tell that she spoke very good English, and she never spoke Kalenjin throughout the interview. So I want to urge this House. I want to urge this House that as we support our men and women who will be our cabinet secretaries by tomorrow, let us bring an amendment so that the way we supported CS Malonza, we also seek the indulgence of this House so that we can be able to save this very beautiful soul. Because in our Kalenjin culture, they say that during an initiation ceremony, when a young man or a young woman just comes uninvited and he sees the ceremony, then it follows that she or he has to be initiated. So I also dare say that given that this beautiful lady has seen the ceremony, let us allow her to serve, and from the service, we can determine whether she is able to serve or not. As I finish, I want to support the nominees, especially my chair for PAC, Honorable
There is
Mbadi.
order.
I know
Order, DK. There's a point of order from Wamumbi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want Honorable DK to clarify whether he is supporting the lady because she is beautiful or whether he is supporting her because of her capacity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think the lady, I know her, she has a very beautiful brain, she is elegant, and she can perform. So, so as I finish, I know my friend Honorable Mbadi, Chirchir, Honorable Murkomen, and all the other nominees are going to perform wonders. The only thing we urge the CSS, let them avoid opulence as much as possible, because that is one of the issues that the Gen Z raised, and we don't want to see it going forward. Thank you very much. I support the committee's report.
Naisula Lesuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do not want to belabor on the points that honorable members have already talked on or talked about. And one of them is what Honorable McLab said, that the CSAs who will be approved by this House will not be serving their communities or their regions or their political parties. Because I wonder where other communities who have never had a cabinet secretary in this country, when they will ever be given an opportunity to show their competence and also suitability to serve. And so the CS nominees, we asked them whether they will serve their communities, and all of them told us no. And so I do not expect the members of parliament in this House to go and hold the CSs once they're in office hostage. Let the CSs work for all of us and for all the people of this country. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I asked Honorable Mbadi the question whether he's a skunk, because the last time he called all the nominees the skunk and he gave the president. He told me, you will judge me whether I am a skunk once I'm in the office according to my work. I want to say and to tell Honorable Mbadi and all the nominees, if this House approve you, Naisula and many people in this House will hold you to account to all the things that you told Kenyans during the vetting process. And so we will do our work as opposition. And I've heard also some people here saying, oh, we are now one in government, there is no opposition. I want to tell you that some of us who are elected in the opposition will do our work. When the government does something good, we will say you have done well. When you have not, we will reject. I also want to call upon Kenyans that please let us also give His Excellency the President time to work. He was elected for 5 years. If you do not like him, please strategize how you will remove him through the constitutional means in 2027. Beat him at the ballot. That is what I also wanted to say. The CSS to do their work, members of parliament to do their work, the president to be given time to do his work. If he fails, we go that route constitutionally. Because if we go the anarchy way, you have seen Khartoum, you've seen Somalia. Even as an opposition member of parliament, I wouldn't want us to go that way. I would want also to say two things, Mr. Speaker. We will hold people like Honorable Kindiki. We have said Professor has done a very good job, but issues of abductions, issues of killing people also has to stop, even in our areas where we come from, Mr. Speaker. Finally, the issue of saying that even if a CS is weak, should be given a strong PS. The PS does not earn double money to do a CS's work and a PS. The CS to do their work of policy, leave.
Member for Murang'a County. Give the mic to Betty Minor. You are switching the mic in the wrong places. Clerk, what's the problem?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the nominees, but Mr. Speaker, this time round, we have to be very, very clear as Parliament. We have not come to support leaders, to support regional politics and to support regional development, but to support every Kenyan at the national level. Mr. Speaker, we have had a problem of supporting leaders in this nation, and then the retreat in political and regional cocoons, supporting ethnic politics, and it has been a problem to all of us. Mr. Speaker, allow me to single out one Professor Kidro Kinduki. In the past, I have not been his great fan, but recently, I am one of his greatest fans. Professor Kidura Kindiki expressed a lot of wisdom and a lot of brains when he was doing his interview, Mr. Speaker. Previously, he did a lot of work to support this government, and he has been on record. He's not a regional leader, but he's a national leader. Mr. Speaker, we want to urge that this Parliament, we are a national Parliament, and we can only support national leaders, but not regional leaders or leaders who want to retreat to village cocoons. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the nominees. Thank you.
Thank you. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want also to add my voice to this important debate. And I will say I'm supporting the report, but with a number of reservations. The first one, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of regional balancing. Honorable Speaker, you have heard a number of members saying they don't know whether they will be able, when they will be able to get a cabinet secretary. And it is important that, Honorable Speaker, even as we continue appointing people to this important office, that regional balancing is ensured. And more so, the issue of disability, Honorable Speaker. I was very keen looking at who's been vetted, and I still think as a country, we have a lot to do in the area of disability, Honorable Speaker. For purposes of inclusion, because most Kenyans are saying there is a problem with inclusion, I think it's important to bring these brothers and sisters of ours to some of these senior positions. The other issue, Honorable Speaker, which I want to mention, Honorable Speaker, I've looked at the report very quickly, and the comments by the DPP and the comments by the EACC, Honorable Speaker, to me is a bit worrying. That the DPP comes and says he has no case with a particular nominee, but the EACC says they have an issue. These are departments of the same government. Honorable Speaker, there is no way both of them can be saying the truth. One must be saying the truth, the other one must be lying to Kenyans. And it is important, Honorable Speaker, when these cases come up to a FETI committee like what you are chairing, Honorable Speaker, that we allow time to sort out these issues. Kenyans are not stupid to believe one office and not another one. When the DPP says he has no case to answer, and the ACC says they have a case to answer, it's a problem, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other matter is, we have gotten some members of the minority being appointed to the majority. Honorable Speaker, the truth of the matter is, we cannot have the majority being also in the minority. If you decide to be in the majority, please switch from the minority so that we improve oversight of this House. Honorable Speaker, it's not going to make sense to have watchdog committees of this House being chaired by people who claim to be in the minority when we know they are in the majority, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, it is very important that we get these things right. The issue of wealth declaration, Honorable Speaker, I've seen a number of members saying appreciation of property and assets. Honorable Speaker, it is very important that such matters, we do much more work to determine how this wealth changed over such a short time, Honorable Speaker. I was asking myself, if I worked for 30 years and I've made 200
Osoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to support the report by the committee. But I also want to single out some few nominees that I observed 1, 2, or 3 things and learned something. Honorable Speaker, the nomination of the Honorable Ali Hassan Joho is an inspiration to so many young people out there who may have lost hope. That it really doesn't matter where you come from, how you scored in the grades that you got in high school. If you persist, and persevere, you will achieve your dreams. So, Honorable Speaker, this really should be a great inspiration. And even as I say that, Honorable Speaker, I'll also make, on a light note, and say those who are actually saying and talking about the opulence on some nominees or some former CSS, who is like the Honorable Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen. I don't know how you'll talk about the Honorable Ali Hassan Joho, who also has a taste for good things. And this should actually go out there in public, that people should know, and every person outside there should know that you are not poor because somebody else is rich. You can actually learn something from a person instead of actually feeling bad that, okay, you are wearing this shirt or you are having a very expensive watch, you are putting on a very expensive watch because you took my money. Which money? I mean, people should be made to understand that people have got different tastes. There are people who love clothes, attires, there are people who love land, there are people who love big cars, and there are also people who love other forms of excitement and even traveling. So, Honorable Speaker, this was a great inspiration, Honorable Speaker, on Ali Hassan Joho. And number 2, Honorable Speaker, there was also an inspiration for the young people of Mr. Eric Mureithi Muga, a young man that appeared before you and even confessed not to be having a car. You know, he's been able to maneuver through the systems, maneuver through the network, and that clearly shows that your social network is a social net worth. And today, and I believe that when he gets his first salary, he'll be able to acquire himself a car. So this is a great inspiration. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I'm also very excited by the nomination of Mr. Julius Migos Ogamba. Before he appeared before your committee, Honorable Speaker, in the corridors of Parliament, members were saying that ministry possibly required a career educationist. But the confirmation of his performance truly confirmed that this is a person who is competent to what he was actually appointed.
Give him a minute and wind up.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, I had missed the point that it was 1 minute. So this Julius Migos Ogamba performed very well, and I saw honorable members and even members of the public saying that he exceeded their expectations, being a career advocate of the High Court. That again shows that advocates are all round. They can actually do anything. It can be like you've seen Professor Kithure Kindiki and so many others, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I really want to support this and also tell the nominees that once they assume office, not to make themselves some demigods, not to, develop what we call in basic language big heads, by pride and everything. Find a way to relate with every person and serve Kenyans, and this House will keep them in check on every action that they're gonna take while serving in office. I support, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
For Bumula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. And I will start by encouraging my colleagues that our role as members of Parliament is oversight. And we oversight as a House. We don't oversight as part of us. So it's really sickening when some members want to think they are in government or they are not in government, Honorable Speaker. We as a House, ours is to oversight. Not to forget what caused all this is that we had a cabinet that was not able to perform its duties. We had a cabinet that let the president down. We had a cabinet that let Kenyans down. And it gave an opportunity to the president to have a new cabinet, which we hope it's going to help him to serve Kenyans better. Honorable Speaker, we will continue oversighting because it's our responsibility as a house. Some of the colleagues that have joined the cabinet are members of this house. We expect nothing but performance. We expect nothing but good manners. Kenyans expect more, that they perform. They have been here. They know things that have been hurting Kenyans, that they go and perform and do good to Kenyans. That was a wake-up call for all of us, that Kenyans are still angry. I urge the President of the Republic of Kenya to continue doing more in ensuring that every other Kenyan must feel comfortable to live in Kenya, by ensuring that we have regional balance, by ensuring that every Kenya, it doesn't matter where they come from, but they must feel part and parcel of this country. And I want to congratulate my minority leader, Honorable Pio Wandai. I want to congratulate Honorable Mbadi. I want to congratulate Honorable Joe. I want to congratulate my big brother, Honorable Paranya, and my sister, the Minister for Health, if we are going to approve them, that I know that they can do a good job. Please don't let Kenyans down. Honorable members, Kenyans out there are still watching us, are still looking at us to ensure that we continue oversighting this government so that we can have a better country for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I wish them all good. Asanteni.
For Garsen and of Bura. Member for Bura. Give him the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice onto this very important motion. Honorable Speaker, I want to single out some of the nominees who are before this House today. I want to start by one Honorable Eden Duale, who is a role model to some of us. He was the area member of Parliament for Dujis when I was completing my high school, and we met in this August House while we are both representing our great people. He's a man who has served and who has truly shown his abilities. We are proud of him, and we are sure that he's going to serve the nation as his position as the CS in charge of environment, forestry, and mining. I want to also congratulate Honorable John Buddy, who happens to be my chair in Public Accounts Committee. It has never been in doubt his abilities, his skills and expertise in ensuring that he be the driver and steers the country in good direction. I wish him well. I also wish to take this opportunity also to congratulate Ali Hassan Joho, our regional kingpin as well. It is an inspiration to many of us that somebody who got an...
Yes, Betty Maina, as your point of order. Member for Bura, take your seat. Give the... Why are you malfunctioning?
Not here to Mr. Speaker, we are not here to pass regional kingpins. We have been having a problem of passing leaders, and then they retreat to regional politics, regional development, or village cocoons. We are here to pass regional, national leaders. So I want him to withdraw regional kingpin. And apologize on that point or not on that order, point of order.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to reject and continue with my contribution.
Hold on, Bura.
Mheshimiwa Spika, Nataka nimkosoe pia dadangu Mheshimiwa Betty akisema regional kingpin, huyo ndio yuko ni kingpin. Hajasema kuwa hawezi kufanyia kazi Kenya nzima, atafanyia Wakenya wote, lakini ifahamike Hassan Ali Joho ndio kingpin wa Coast Region na kule North Eastern yote. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Order. Member for Bura, carry on.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to conclude my contribution by saying that we support the nominees, and it is in our diversity, our regional background, that our strength lies in that. We are not saying that once somebody is a nominee from a certain area, he serves only that area. He will serve the Republic of Kenya. We are proud of them. We are supporting them. We are wishing them well. And some of the nominees personally interacted. Somebody like the CS for Interior, Cabinet Secretary. His background, being a lawyer, but he has performed exemplary in that docket. He has done well. He has ensured that all the problems within our regionals and our boundaries have been contained. And I wish, and I also want to thank the appointing authority, His Excellency the President, for listening to Kenyans and ensure that he enhances this broad-based government where people are not looked at the lenses of regional and ethnic background, but they are given an opportunity because of the expertise and the skills that they have. I am sure, I don't have any iota of doubt, that all the nominees who have been given those positions, if passed by this House, will serve diligently and will be Kenyans and not regional cocoons and regional kingpins, but will ensure that they have performed. And we are here to support them and wish them well. Thank you, Mr.
Honorable members, before I give the next, I want to acknowledge in the public gallery Ngereriti Secondary School from Konoin, Bomet. Ngererit, yes, from Bomet. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome the students and their teachers to Parliament. Esther Passaris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the list of CSs that have been recently vetted. I want to commend the committee under your leadership and that of the Deputy Speaker for the good work that you did, for the transparency of having it aired across all media houses, including social media. I note that you know, when the majority leader was speaking, he was saying that for the one that has been not approved, because she is from Rift Valley, then it has to be replaced by Rift Valley. I feel that it has to be replaced by the best person possible for the job. And when we look at the regional balance, we can see that Mount Kenya got the lion's share. Rift Valley had 4. And if you look at Northeastern, they only had 2 or 1. So I think if we want to have a replacement, we're looking for somebody who is the best person for the job. And we're also looking for a balance in terms of the various provinces that we have in the country so that everyone can feel represented in as far as the original 8 provinces of the country. Mr. Speaker, this country is coming from a very bad place. A lot of people are saying, why did the president bring back the same people? Well, the president didn't really bring back all the same people. He dropped quite a number of the previous CSs and he's formed a broad-based government. People say that when you have a broad-based government, you're not going to have an opposition. I think all of us, whether in government or in opposition, when we sit in committees to oversight, we all are actually supposed to make sure that the right thing happens and the various government arms actually deliver to the people. I think we've been challenged because of the exposés on corruption. As a House, I think we need to really strengthen the EACC. We need to give them prosecutorial powers. We need to make sure that every person that is coming, the president has given you a chance, those who've come in for the second time and the new ones, we need to deliver to serve the country. And you can see that the Gen Zs are not sleeping. They want a country that will deliver prosperity to everyone and all Kenya. They want us to go in the right direction. We know we haven't gone in the right direction. So let's team up, all of us, three arms of government, and deliver for the people of Kenya the dreams of our forefathers.
Kahangara, member for Limuru.
Member for Larry, thank you.
Sorry, Kahangara. Member for Larry.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And from the onset, I want to say that I'm in support of the report by the committee on appointments. Mr. Speaker, when the President decided to send the ministers home as a result of what we know happened in this country, I am sure that the President, having looked at the ministers or the CSS for that matter for the period of about 1.5 years, he was also just getting ready to do reorganization so that he can be able to get a team that will be able to deliver on the plan that he promised Kenyans. And with that, I want to congratulate him for the CSS, some of them who were reappointed, CSS who we have already seen that they did very, very well in their various ministries. And I can single out ministers, for example, Chilchil, who was in the Ministry of Energy, and he has done very well in terms of electrification within the country. And I'm sure in the next docket, where he's going to be the Minister for Roads, he's also going to work as hard and ensure that areas that have been marginalized, that includes Larry, will be taken care of, and they're going to get the infrastructure that we require. Ministers like Alice Wahome, who has also been able to work in the lands ministry, where, of course, we all know the kind of corruption that has been going on there, the digitization and trying to put up the records in the Ministry of Lands in the right manner. And I think that is going to solve a lot of issues of land problems that we have had, among other ministers who have been working very hard. Mr. Speaker, I'm one person who has been in support of cabinet secretaries coming from the National Assembly, or having served as politicians. And in this case, Mr. Speaker, including the President and the Deputy, we have 13 members of the cabinet who have gone through the National Assembly. And this is now going to bring some synergy where government policies will be sold, because having been politicians, they know how to communicate to the people. They will be able to take the message to the people on what the government is doing on the ground, and I'm sure they will be able to do a good job. I want to congratulate all of them, wish them well in their various ministries, and ask them that the issues of opulence and service to Kenyans should be across board, where all Kenyans will feel that indeed they belong, and we can see development across board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Susan Kiamba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the time to make my contribution to this very important motion. And I think as we look at these nominees, Honorable Speaker, we must look at the back under what backdrop, where did we have a second selection of cabinet. I think, in my own opinion, Honorable Speaker, the major challenge we are facing as a country, which the President clearly declared, we had a cabinet that was incompetent. And there was the issue of exclusion, which came out very clearly. Honorable Speaker, as I sit here and listen to the committee report, I just wonder, as a specialist in issues, technical and the capacity building, how was the capacity and the competence developed for over 70% of the cabinet in less than a month? So I really feel very, very cheated as a member of parliament with the fact that within less than a month, people did not have competence. 70% of them gained competence. So I really want us to explore the tools. Honorable Speaker, my concern is we need to explore the tools.
Order, Susan. Honorable Susan. Yes, Alicia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What begs on my mind is when she's talking about competence. There are two things. There's competencies and competence. What does she mean? Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I am not apologizing. I'm not an Englishman. neither woman or Makamba, and I know he understands his competence. Just to continue, Honorable Speaker, the other point was the issue of inclusion. And in particular, the inclusion was the inclusion for the youth. When we appoint only one youth, seemingly youth, is that an inclusion? I think we are being selfish as adults. And when the youth complain, we are not including them. Especially when we have over 50% of the population of this country being youth, I think it is not. Hello, Mr. Speaker, can you protect me? I can't even contribute because of unnecessary noise. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. When we look at the population of Kenya, we have over 50% youth. When all the old men and whatever, women are few, get all the cabinet slots, are we genuinely? I think that is still exclusion for the youth. I don't see inclusion in that. Secondly, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Susan, there's a point of order from Owen Bayer.
I can breathe.
You know, Honorable Speaker, listening to Susan, she says that 80% of the cabinet has no competence, whichever it is, competencies or what. Then she comes and tells us that we are being selfish because we did not nominate youth. The youth that, in her words, actually do not have the competence. So that contradiction does not speak for the Kamba community. They have higher competencies than that.
Understand his point, because I stated very clearly, the president declared himself and said he is disbanding the cabinet because he's incompetent. When 70% comes back, it is assumed they have developed competence. I'm just wondering what tools were used to check that competence that within a month came up. I am feeling this was more political manipulation than actually what we are looking for as Kenyans.
Time up. Women rep for Tarakaniti. Okay, give her 1 minute to finish.
Honorable Speaker, and this is among the few dissenting voices which have not been given time. Honorable Speaker, I think I have been into an integrity class, and integrity does not mean the law, you must have been accused in law. Even when people doubt you and what you stand for, matters trust is an integrity issue. We have a case where somebody was accused by ESEC that he was corrupt. And the people brought evidence that there was that. Even that doubt in itself, chapter 6 of our constitution, that person is already disqualified. The last one, what I see is political manipulation of joining numbers of UDA and the ODM to get a super majority, but not a genuine concern to give Kenyans competence. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Go on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me a chance to contribute to this very important motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, first of all, I want to thank the Committee on Appointment for banning the midnight oil and bringing such...
Order. Order. Honorable Susan, when you spoke, you are listened to. Also listen to others. Go on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for protecting me. I'm thanking the Committee on Appointment for finding time and banning the midnight oil, Mr. Speaker, sir, and bringing to us this list that has been brought to us by Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank the President for considering almost everyone. What I'm finding most in this list is inclusivity. The President considered the social class, the President considered the religion, the President considered different backgrounds, and Mr. President considered gender and youth. Mr. Speaker, sir, this list shows people with a great integrity. I want to congratulate mostly Professor Kidore Kedeke, a gentleman that I've known for the last over 30 years, since his early childhood, Mr. Speaker, sir. A very selfless man, a very committed man, a very dedicated man, and I wish
and pray that even the other nominees, if approved by this